Can you imagine a wedding torn apart when a white man ripped the bouquet from an 8-year-old's hands and hurled venom at a black bride and groom? He spewed lies, called in the police, and left the guests frozen in disbelief as neighbors watched the chaos unfold. But just as the moment reached its peak, the groom revealed his mayor's ID, shattering the slander and forcing the ugly truth into the open. If you love interesting stories like this that expose the truth, please give this video a thumbs up and tell us in the comments section where in the world you are watching this video, and also do well to smash that subscribe button. The summer sun shone bright on Maple Street as Marcus Johnson prepared to marry the love of his life, Keisha Williams. Their wedding celebration filled the front yard with joy, music, and laughter. 8-year-old Jasmine, Keisha's little sister, held the special wedding flowers close to her heart. Then everything changed. Robert Miller, a 62-year-old white man from across the street, stormed over with fire in his eyes. Without warning, he grabbed the flowers from little Jasmine's hands and threw them into the dirty street water. "This doesn't belong on Maple Street," he snarled, his voice cutting through the happy music like a knife. The wedding guests froze. The music stopped. Everyone stared in shock. Keisha ran to her sister, her white dress flowing behind her. "You just put your hands on my little sister," she said, her voice shaking with anger. Marcus stepped forward, his jaw tight. "You don't get to decide who belongs here." Robert's cruel smile spread across his face. "We'll see about that." He spit on the ground near Marcus's shoes, then pulled out his phone. "I need police," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Suspicious people causing trouble. Send someone fast." The neighbors watched from their windows and porches, but nobody spoke up. Nobody helped. Young Destiny, their teenage cousin, started recording everything on her phone. The whole ugly scene was going live on social media. Red and blue lights flashed down Maple Street. 2 police cars pulled up, and the officers stepped out. The wedding that had been so beautiful just minutes before now looked like a crime scene. Robert rushed to the police like he owned the street. "There," he pointed at Marcus and Keisha. "Drug activity, gang members, and who knows what else. I've lived here for 40 years. I know trouble when I see it." Officer Rodriguez took the wedding papers Marcus handed him. Everything was legal and proper. But Officer Davis seemed more interested in what Robert had to say. "Some of us remember when neighborhoods were safe," Robert continued, his eyes scanning the black wedding guests with disgust. "First comes the noise, then the crime. Ask anyone who's lived through it." The words hit like slaps to the face. Several black guests gasped, but the white neighbors stayed silent, watching from their safe distance. Little Jasmine pressed against her sister's side, tears in her eyes. The flowers she'd promised to keep safe were floating away in the gutter. "Why is he talking like that?" Jasmine whispered. "Because," Keisha said, her voice steady and strong, "some people hate joy they can't control." Marcus felt the heat rising in his chest, but he stayed calm. He slowly took off his wedding jacket, revealing something that made everyone gasp. On his white shirt was an official city seal. Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a gold badge. "Marcus Johnson," he said, his voice strong and clear. "Mayor of Springfield." Officer Rodriguez straightened up immediately. "Good evening, Your Honor." Robert's phone shook in his hand. His live stream showed his shocked face to thousands of viewers. "You didn't know who you were talking to," Marcus continued. "That's strange, since Miller Construction has a $2.4 million contract with the city. A contract that says you can't discriminate against anyone." The crowd began to murmur. Someone in the back whispered, "Oh, this is about to get real." Robert's face turned red, then white. You think having a title means you understand this community? Safety isn't about keeping people out, Marcus replied. It's about making sure everyone who lives here gets treated with respect, even on their wedding day. Just then, news vans pulled up. Reporter Sarah Chin jumped out with her camera crew. Mayor Johnson, we've been following the trending hashtag Maple Street Wedding. Would you like to comment? Marcus looked at his bride, at little Jasmine still holding his hand, at all their family and friends who had come to celebrate with them. Yes, he said, his voice carrying down the street. In 3 days, we'll have a public hearing. Everyone will get their chance to speak. And it will all be on the record. Applause erupted from the black neighbors. Robert's face went pale as he realized his live stream had captured everything. The community hearing led to real change. Robert had to take classes about treating all people fairly. His company had to hire more diverse workers and do community service. But the biggest change was in Robert himself. At first, he was angry and resentful, but slowly, month by month, something shifted. He started actually listening to his neighbors instead of judging them. 3 years later, on Unity Day, the same street that had seen so much hate was filled with celebration. Robert knelt in a garden, planting bright orange flowers with soil-covered hands. The same hands that had once thrown away a wedding bouquet were now planting something beautiful for everyone to enjoy. When Marcus, Keisha, and Jasmine walked by, Robert looked up. His eyes were different now, softer, more understanding. At the ceremony, Robert stood at the microphone. 3 years ago, I thought I knew what community meant, he said. I was wrong. I looked at my neighbors and decided they didn't belong. It took me too long to realize that we're all part of the same neighborhood, the same community. He pointed to the flowers he'd planted. These flowers aren't much by themselves, but together they make something beautiful. That's what our town is now. Marcus took the stage as the sun set over Maple Street. We all know anger, he said, but real strength is turning that anger into lasting change. The crowd cheered, their voices carrying down the same street where hate had once lived, but where love and unity had finally won. This story reminds us that change is possible when we stand up for what's right and give people the chance to grow.